With over 20 years experience in the technology field, serving Fortune 500 and small companies alike, he holds 2 degrees and multiple certifications.
Cybersecurity expert
Will Nobles.
Boy, has he had success in his life.
Since I've started my company, I've dedicated myself in helping my clients protect the integrity of their data.
The CEO of Vector Choice Technology Solutions. Please welcome Mr. Will Nobles.
People don't get risk that's out there. Don't be careless with your technology. Your employees are your #1 security risk that you have.
Someone clicks on a link, spreads across the network, and encrypts the data on that network.
When we're sitting down with a client for the first time, one of the things we're looking at is what are they doing today to protect themselves against cyber attacks.
Just because you're a small firm or you don't have a lot of money, don't think that someone's not trying to hack you. Everybody is vulnerable.
Go into the dark web, look and see of your employees what passwords are out there.
What we do is partner humanity with technology.
Hey guys, how are you? How's everybody? Even technology companies have technology issues at times, so I do apologize about that. I'm glad everybody joined today, and I look forward to sharing this information with you. The reason why I'm doing this is really because so many people are learning how to work from home these days, and so many people have never done that before. And we, as Vector Choice, we have always had people working from home, and so I wanted to share that knowledge with you guys. This is definitely a webinar that is going to be continuous for the next month, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, on different topics each day. Today, we're going to be talking about Zoom and video teams and educating you guys about that. I hope everybody is doing well under this time and need. It's crazy. This is a whole nother world, and it's our new norm. So I'm going to go and get into it, and we're going to talk about a few things, and we're going to talk about etiquette, video etiquette when you're working from home. Now, as you see, I'm bright. I look like I'm in a studio. I've got a nice banner behind me. And the things that you want to be conscious about when you're working from home is make sure, one, to have proper lighting. So one of the things that we use is we use this, and behind my monitor here, you'll see this is what I'm looking at. And it's a big giant light. So you definitely want to have good lighting where you're at. Those are really cheap. You can find those on Amazon. There are smaller ones as well that you can hook up to your screen and sort of bends around the screen and everything. A great video camera. So you can do different types of videos. I use a Logitech HD camera when I'm not using my laptop monitor. And then also you want to have it quiet. You don't want distractions. You don't want dogs barking, kids screaming, wife or husband yelling in the house, construction going on at your house. So find a quiet place in your house that you can actually have a video conference. Most importantly, make sure you're not going to the restroom or wearing the proper attire. It's crazy some of the things I've seen on video conferencing, and you want to be very careful with that. As you see, I'm here in a suit, and you don't have to wear a suit on a video conference. Wear what you're going to wear when you're talking to a client, or if you're just dealing with your employees on a day-to-day basis on video conference, at least still wear what you would wear going to the office. So dress, take a shower. A lot of people will jump on a video conference, the hair is all messed up and everything. So make sure to take a shower, be prepared just like you're actually leaving for work for the day. One of the big things that you don't want to use when you're using Zoom is use a virtual background, and you'll see some of that, and I'll show what a virtual background looks like in a little bit. But you don't want to use a virtual background. It's just very distracting. It's very it's all over the place, and when you're moving around, you get all kinds of feedback and stuff from the image. But the biggest thing that you want is definitely have something like this. This is actually a banner. It's a step and repeat. I used it for our movie premiere, the cybercrime movie, and it literally is about a foot away from me, and it's a sheet. Now, the company that did this for me is Business Innovations, and I want to share with you their brochure for this. I partner with them on this, and you guys should see my screen now. And the background I have looks like the one here, and I'm going to draw on this. It looks like this one right here. and it's on a stand. It's pretty wide. You can use different types depending on how much space you have. This one's good if you have a smaller amount of space to work in. And then, so there again, there's different options that you have that they're offering here. But Business Innovation does a really great job with that. These are different prices that you can do, and this is what it looks like here from a standpoint. And then, you want it about a foot behind you. I'm going to clear my drawings out. Now, so you can contact them at sales@bi-ww.com or 770-242-8002. They're here out of Atlanta, and they do a very, very good job with that. So if you want something, if you don't have an office at your house that can have a professional background, which is very a key, you definitely want something like this to actually give you a good image when you're talking to your clients. And obviously there's a lot of marketing there too, marketing power for yourself as well, talking to clients. Before you join a video conference, you want to make sure you test your audio and video. You want to make sure that it's working properly. And Zoom and all the other video conferencing systems out there, they can do that. So make sure you test. Don't be 5-10 minutes into a call and still trying to figure out your video, your audio, and so forth. So test those before you use it. Now, I'm going to be talking mostly today about Zoom and Microsoft Teams. And the reason why I'm talking about those is I use both of those as a company. And I'm going to share why I use the different ones in the different ways. There's tons of other. There's GoToMeeting, there's GoToWebinar. There's a ton of different ones out there. But I wanted just to share these two and educate on these two alone. Now, when I'm talking to my clients, I'm using Zoom video conferencing. And I'm going to get to this and start showing you guys. I'm not going to kill you guys today with PowerPoints or anything. This is more interactive. This is more for you to ask questions as well. So one of the things I want to ask, I'm going to bring a poll up, is how many people are using Zoom today for their business? So I just put a poll up. If you guys can take a few minutes, a few seconds here and answer, and we'll get in talking more about it. I see some answers coming in and everything. And what answers are coming in, you definitely want to make sure you have good eye contact. Just like you're sitting across the table from someone, have that eye contact with your camera and be looking at the person. Don't be moving around looking at different things in your office. And Zoom and a lot of these tools can definitely show the other person that even though they can still see you, they can show that you're not actually interacting with them and everything. And we'll get into that in a second. So it looks like about 88% are using Zoom today, and only about 13% are not. So that's some good information there. And so I'm going to jump into, I'm going to share my screen, and I'm on a Mac on my other machine, but I'm going to share, come over here. All righty. So you guys should now see Zoom on a Mac that I'm going to be sharing. So I'm going to actually walk you through, you do install the Zoom application on your computer. You can install it on your mobile phone as well. But if I want to just start a new meeting, I can click here, start a new meeting. And one of the things, biggest mistakes, if you're going to use your audio on your computer, please join computer with audio. If you do not do that and you skip this part, it's not going to have your audio automatically turned on. Now you can do call from phone if you want to with Zoom. So I'm going to join audio with that with this Mac. And there we go. Alrighty, so now I've got the login here, so I can actually copy this URL and send that to anybody. Anybody that has Zoom or doesn't have Zoom, I can send this link to them, and they can join. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite, and I'm going to come down and I'm going to invite Chelsea to this Zoom call. And Chelsea, so it's calling Chelsea right now. And the reason why I can see these names is because, and I'll get to that, the sort of admin portal of this in a second. If I can get Chelsea to answer the phone. Let's just call Aaron. So once Aaron answers, I'll actually be able to see him and see exactly what's going on there. Oh, there we go. I did add Chelsea. Okay, so I've got Chelsea multiple times, it looks like, and I've also got Aaron as well. As you see, their camera's turned off here. And so several things I can do with inside of Zoom. One, I can do breakout rooms. Breakout rooms, now that's not an option by default that's turned on. You have to go to the admin portal to do that. But you can do breakout rooms. So if I want to split participants up and actually have them have separate conversations and then bring them back into the meeting, I can do that. One of the other things that you can do is record the call. Now, if I click record, I can record to the computer or I can record to the cloud. When recording to the cloud, it's going to take up space in the Zoom. It's going to be in the Zoom cloud, okay? There's only so much that you can save in the Zoom cloud, but you can also record to your computer. And chatting, if I wanted to chat with everyone. Now, here's the biggest thing about chatting. Two things. One is that the host is going to get a recording of everything. So when you're chatting and you're doing a private chat without the host being in there, the host can still see your chats after the fact. So be very, very careful when chatting inside of Zoom, even though it's not going to everyone, because the host will be able to see the transcript of that. But if I wanted to message everybody, I can just come here to do test, or I can pull this down and I want to message Aaron directly. I can, and you see it says private, and I can message Aaron directly here. Now, and as you see, Chelsea replied back, and when she replied back to everyone, and Aaron replied back, it's a private. So Chelsea was not able to see what Aaron said. So just be very careful when you're chatting back and forth that you're using everyone or a private, but remember the host of the call is going to be able to see the transcript of that. Now, if I wanted to share a screen, simple as this, I can just click on share and it's going to give me the different options. So if I have different monitors, you can have different monitors to use. So I can click desktop 1, desktop 2. You can share your whole desktop, or you can just share an application or a program. So let's say Microsoft Teams is running on this computer right now, and I just wanted to share Microsoft Teams and nothing else. I can actually do that. So be careful when you're sharing stuff on your screen. Definitely be careful not to share things that you don't want people to see. I have seen that mistakes as well. So that's sharing, and I'm going to exit out of this. And then I can manage participants. Now, this is what I was telling you about what you can see people are doing. One, I can come here and I can unmute Aaron. And I can unmute Aaron, but it's going to ask his permission first to unmute. Okay, so he just accepted the unmute, or I can mute Aaron. So there's different things that you can do. So if you're the host and you're having someone having trouble actually muting and unmuting, you can actually unmute and mute them for yourself. Also, if I want to ask to start a video, if someone can't figure out how to turn their video on, you can click on more and ask to start video. It's going to pop up on their screen and it's going to say the host is asking for you to start your video. You can actually start the video at that point. So there's a few tips there that you can control video and muting and unmuting. Now, if I wanted to mute all or unmute all, I can do that. Now, one of the things that you want to do when you start a video conference, first thing to do, just mute everybody, because it's so distracting. People trying to get on, just mute everybody from default. And then you can also come here to more and mute participants on entry. Now, you probably see, hey, I'm here, and you're already started the meeting. If you mute them on entry, then you don't get interrupted from someone coming in late to a meeting. So definitely, if you want to make sure to control the muting aspect, I would definitely encourage that. If you want to lock the meeting inside of Zoom, and let's say you want to say, okay, I don't want no one else to jump into this meeting. You might be having a private conversation you want to lock the meeting. So you can lock it to the participants that are already in the meeting. So that's another function that you can use with inside of Zoom. I can kick people out, or I can invite people. So if I click invite, here I can invite contacts, or I can email. So let's say I want to email someone. I can either copy the URL or copy the invitation, or I can use whatever the default email client is. If you're using Outlook, it's going to pull up Outlook. But if I copy the invite, it's just going to copy it to my clipboard. You can go to your email and then hit paste, and it's going to paste that to your clipboard there. And if all right, so that's covering that. So if I wanted to drop Aaron off, I can come here and remove Aaron from the call. And I can click OK. And as you see, now I've kicked Aaron out. So if he's having problems trying to exit the meeting, or he stepped away and I need him to exit so I can have a private conversation with Chelsea, I can actually just exit that person out of the meeting altogether. Your video. So if you're having problems with your video, the stop video, you can stop video here. And as you see, it stopped the video of that Mac. Or I can start it back up. And if I'm having camera issues, you can click on the little caret here, and you can choose if you have different cameras, you can choose the different cameras to use. You can also look at video settings from here to make sure everything is running fine and picking the camera as well there. Same thing if you're having audio issues. Make sure, one, you're not muted if you're trying to speak, but also you can change the audio for your microphone to whatever. If you only have one, you're only going to have one choice. But if you have multiple microphones with an external camera, or your built-in built-in microphone on your laptop, you can choose one of those. All right, so that is sort of Zoom in a nutshell. I'm going to stop sharing this screen real fast, and I'm going to go to another screen and share. Now it looks like I got one question that came in. Okay, yep. So Al posted for everybody about the panels and how to contact sales for business innovations. Again, awesome idea. I love the idea of this, where it sort of blocks out anything that you have in the background, because that's one of the biggest things. You don't want pictures of your kids. If you're in healthcare, you don't want PII information laying behind you where people can see it, or for your attorney, you don't want your other clients to be able to zoom in and see that information. So having a clean background is definitely ideal. We've got one question that came in. How do you know? Okay, how do you know I can't see you right now? Well, there's a difference between a webinar, a Zoom webinar, and a Zoom video conferencing. And a Zoom, excuse me, Zoom video conference is the ability to just share and broadcast. You can do Q&A, you can do polls, and you can still chat. But I can bring a person in, if I wanted to, I can bring a person in to the video and be a panelist on that. So a little bit off topic, but yes, I cannot see you guys right now unless I request that. All right, I'm going to now go to sort of the admin section of Zoom, and give me 1 second. And I'm going to talk about pricing and other things within inside of Zoom here. All righty. Okay, so I've got the Zoom window up, and you should see the Zoom, and you go to zoom.us and slash pricing, and you can see the pricing. And I'm going to talk a little bit about pricing, what options we have, what are the best options to have. So let's talk about the free basic. Anybody can use Zoom for free, the basic. Now, the caveat to that is you only get 40 minutes of time. And once that 40 minutes up, the Zoom video conference stops. So, and there's some other limitations, but that's the biggest one on the free. Now, how our company is structured, we've got about 5 pro license, and everybody else uses the basic license. People that are doing sales and meetings, my management team that are doing meetings with clients, they have a pro license. So just because you want to use Zoom as a company does not mean you have to buy a license for every single employee that you have. You can definitely have most of your employees on basic if they're not kicking off meetings, and then the pro license. So we use the pro license, It's $14.99 per user. And that gives you the recording, a limited 24-hour call, and you can have user management and so forth. So the pro, at least having one pro license per company is a good idea. And then you can go in and add the users for user management. Then you can add the users. As you saw my employees, I can just click on the actual employee to go there. So that's some of the options. And also the free is only one-to-one versus the pro, you can have up to 100 people at a time on that. And so that's sort of pricing. Business and enterprise, they're good if you need 300 participants, you want to do single sign-on, stuff like that. But honestly, for the most of the small businesses out there, the pro license definitely will work for you. I'm going to now go to my admin portal here. So you guys can see that. And switch over there. All right, let's share that screen now with you guys. And like I said, this is interactive, so that's why you see me moving things around quite a bit. So I can actually share this with you guys. Okay, all right, so this is the actual admin portal that you see here. So I have a personal ID that I can always use that, no matter, I can reuse this link over and over again. Even though you have an admin, you can auto-generate links so people are not jumping in the meetings in the middle of your meeting and stuff, but you can have that. As you see, I have a feature webinar turned on as well. But user management, the nice thing about user management is if you have one pro license, you want to add other people as basic, you're going to want to come here and not just them sign up with Zoom automatically. What you want to do is come in and actually set up Zoom so you can actually add the users. And as you hire new employees, you just add them. As simple as adding. You choose a license that you want to give them. You can actually put them in departments and different groups and everything. You can add multiple users at one time. As you see here, I've got Logan's got admin license and it's licensed, and then some of my other employees here have basics. And so that's where you want to be careful. Once you choose pro, it's going to definitely charge you for that. You can do different group management as well. You can put users in a group. So as you see, we have tech team group here and so forth. Now webinars, and you can manage your recordings here. So let's go to recordings. So I can manage all my recordings here. Now remember, you have only so many, so amount of space in the Zoom cloud to actually save these recordings. Or you can also automatically say record locally as well. Webinars. So like I was saying before, webinars are different. This is where you're just doing presenting. You're not having a lot of interaction with the people that are on the webinar, and this is more for presenting type stuff. But if you're dealing with a client, pretty much you don't need a webinar. You're just doing the actual basic meetings and so forth. So I think I've covered everything that I need to cover when it comes to, we're at 11:30. If you guys have any questions about, and I see a few questions come in about Zoom, please put those in the Q&A section. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can answer these questions for you guys real fast. Let's see, John. Okay, if someone, the question is, if someone is muted and you mute all, does the person have the ability actually become unmuted? So if you actually mute yourself and then the host mutes all, and you can if the host mutes all, then you cannot unmute yourself. But if I let's say I unmute everybody, and your option is muted or stay muted, you're going to have a pop-up on your screen that's going to say stay muted, even though the host is asking you to unmute. And so that's how you can control to make sure that even the host is trying to override what you're doing, like your video. You want to make sure that that no one can hear you or see you. the host cannot force you. It's actually going to pop up on your screen to say unmute or turn on your video. So yes, you can still stay muted if the host actually asks you that. All right. So what I'm going to do now is, if there's no other questions on Zoom, I'm going to jump over to Teams. Now, Microsoft Teams is just another platform to do video conferencing. Microsoft Teams now has the option for Microsoft E1 to be free for 6 months for businesses. Let me caveat that. And the meeting Wednesday is going to be covering Microsoft Teams, Office 365, and more so of those types of things. But one of the biggest things that you want to make sure is that Microsoft Office 365 E1 is free for 6 months. The Microsoft has offered that for 6 months if you do not currently have Microsoft. Okay, and the E1 only gets you email and email hosting, and it also gets you Microsoft Teams. Used to, they did not include Teams until the coronavirus issue came about, and now they're giving Teams with the E1. So that is something, we use Microsoft Teams for multiple types of things. One, video conferencing. When you have a license with Microsoft Office 365, you have the ability to do video conferencing in that. So let's jump over to, I'm going to jump back over to that Mac real fast. And let me end this call with Zoom. Okay, so this is Microsoft Teams. Now, Microsoft Teams, I'm not going to go into the details of Teams and everything, but you can do chatting with Teams inside your team. You can access your OneDrive or SharePoint. You can access your files. Again, if you want to learn more about that, be on the 11 o'clock Wednesday webinar this week, and I'm going to go in depth about Microsoft Teams and the whole Office 365 product. But right now, I'm just going to be talking about video chatting with Microsoft Teams. So if I want to call someone, and let's call Aaron again. So I can come here, just put Aaron's name in, and I can either call him or video call him. So I'm going to video call Aaron now. And as you see, it pops up doing a video call here. Okay, so Aaron's joined. Like I told him, leave his camera off while I'm doing this webinar, so that's why his camera's off. And I can mute myself here as well. There's some limitations between Zoom. It is a lot. You can use Microsoft Teams for external parties and getting people in. To me, it's just more complicated, and it's a lot harder for people to get used to when they're already not used to video conferencing altogether. So one of the things that you can do, again, I can control my camera. I can look at the total time that I'm on a call with Aaron. I can share my screen with Aaron, just like I can with Zoom. So I'm going to close that out. And you can share your whole screen or just a PDF or just a document. So there's different things that you can definitely do there. I can go to more actions. I can entire full screen. I can put the person on hold. I can transfer them if I wanted to transfer them. So it's like actually being on a video phone call, but I can do that. I can transfer them to Jeremy, that's one of my engineers. I can transfer them to a manager. So there's different things that you can do. I can start recording this call. You can record team calls as well. So again, a lot of different things that you can do. Turn off incoming video, so you can control that. Again, I can start a conversation and chat with them. I can come here and let's say I wanted to now add Chelsea to this call. We're in the middle of talking. I want to add Chelsea to the call. Now it's calling Chelsea. It's going to bring Chelsea into this call. This is why we like using Teams for video calls internally. Now, this gives you the ability to do that, and you're already paying for that inside if you have Microsoft Office 365. You're already paying for it. You can use that with internal. Again, you can use Microsoft Teams externally, but it's going to be limitation and some just confusion of people getting used to using that. And again, working remotely these days, people are already having enough problems trying to get adjusted to that. Here I can mute all, I can unmute all. So if if I mute it all, that forces everybody to be muted there. I can come here and I can say, okay, I want to drop Chelsea from the call. I can remove the participant. So those are things that you can do just like in Zoom, but inside of Teams. Again, Teams is great for using internally. I don't recommend it trying to use it to communicate with clients, but it's a great tool to use internally. Now, some of the things, and that's all I'm going to cover with Teams today. Again, I'm going to cover more inside of Teams and the whole functionality of Teams later on my Wednesday call. So I'm just going to go and drop that call, come back here. And so I'm going to cover more with Teams after that on Wednesday's call. But so I'm going to go back and the last part of this video conference is really share how to interact with your employees when you're working remotely, or if you're an employee, how to interact with your team. Do video conferencing, because to me, it gives you that face-to-face like setting in the office. When we don't email internally, so we use Teams with all internal communication. We don't email back and forth. That cleans up your inbox of having a whole bunch of junk email just back and forth. Alf, I just saw when do I use gallery view versus speaker view? Gallery view and what he's talking about there, and I'm going to jump. Let me just share my screen again. I'm going to jump over there and show you guys that. But when dealing with your employees and working with them with your team, and not just employees, when you're working with your team, I'm going to go back to Zoom and I'm going to start a new meeting, and I'm going to show gallery view what he's talking about, the question that Alf has there. All right, so let me just come here and I'm going to invite Chelsea and Aaron again so I can have two people in the view. Okay, so if you want gallery view versus, so this is the gallery view where you can see everybody at the same time. What I encourage gallery view is when you got your whole team on there and you want to see everybody and interact with everybody and sort of get that feedback interaction, just like sitting across the conference room table. If you've really just got one person speaking, then whoever is speaking here is going to be the primary person that shows up. So you can see the small pictures across the top, but then whoever is speaking would be the primary person at that point. So to me, gallery view is best used when you want to look at the whole team, just like sitting across the conference room table. What we do, because everybody's working remotely, when we call each other, we don't pick up the phone and call. We actually do a video call to each other. So we can actually have that face-to-face interaction. With us having 4 offices up and down the East Coast, we have to interact that way. We've always done that for 4.5 years now, since we started adding additional offices, that we interact via video constantly. So one of my employees in Baton Rouge, I can tell when he needs a haircut. I can tell when he feels bad just by the expressions, just like setting face to face. And that, and with the time of everybody working from home, it's already a struggle with the fear of the coronavirus and potentially companies shutting down and so forth. Keep that interaction, keep that face-to-face interaction with your employees, with your peers, so everybody is on the same page and you're actually giving that eye-to-eye contact. Because as we all know, talking on the phone is great, but when you actually have that person in front of you, that's why we have multiple monitors that we share with, we give to our staff, so they can actually have one to work from and one to actually interact face-to-face. I'll jump back and let me see if there's another question that came in. Okay, so when the host takes a break during the meeting and all persons on the call are still there waiting, and talking. How can I turn off hearing those? So you, okay, and call and still keep the screen open on the computer. Okay, so the only way to turn it off is just turn your volume off on your computer. You just want to go down, just like if you're listening to music on the computer, you just want to go down at the bottom and just turn the volume all the way down, or just mute the volume. That's the easiest way of doing it. You can disconnect your audio from Zoom or Teams, but then you have to struggle to get it back in. So I would say just do it that way. And again, we do that a lot. Some of the techs will actually work together, and they will stay on a Zoom all day long together, so they can interact face to face. But they will take and mute themselves, mute the volume, so if they're on the phone with a client and so forth. So I hope that answered the question, Patricia. Screen conversation that shows while you invited Aaron. How do you keep that from happening if something Aaron's in potentially embarrassing? That is true. Normally you're only obviously in that webinar and me sharing my screen, you're seeing what I'm seeing on my side. So no, there's no way to hide that. But normally I'm not doing a webinar and sharing a webinar at the same time. So yes, be very careful about what you're sharing on your screen. It could be embarrassing, and I hope what was on the screen wasn't embarrassing. I didn't even look at it, to be honest with you. So Darren, that's the biggest thing, is you're not going to be doing a webinar and sharing your screen on another webinar at the same time. So again, you were seeing what I would, or what you would see as the person initiating the call. Okay. Any other questions? I'm going to open it up. We got about 15 minutes, and I don't want to kill everybody's time here, but I really just want to be informative about how to interact with your employees or with your peers or staff remotely and still be very productive. You know, I am sitting in my office at my house right now. You would never know that I'm not in a professional studio, and it's not expensive to get the right lighting. Because I'll give you guys a prime example. If I turn off this lighting, see how much darker I am now? That is the lighting that does that. So you definitely want to have good lighting when doing that. And again, these lights you can find on Amazon. The backdrops, I would highly encourage you to give Business Innovations a call. They can make them the smaller ones. You want to at least have about 5 feet apart. This one here is actually about 10 feet long, but it's meant for be a step and repeat for a movie premiere. So and it's probably about 7 feet high, I believe. Again, you don't need one that big, but the ones that I was showing you on that pamphlet, I will also send that PDF out to everybody that's on this call as well, and so you can actually have that. All righty. All right, I wanted just to quickly cover that stuff. I hope everybody enjoyed the call today. I'm going to be, again, on Wednesday at 11 o'clock, I'm going to be talking about Microsoft Office 365, the E1, and how people are working remotely and have not skipped a beat from being in the office because they took everything to the cloud. Their emails, their files, and their communication, video conferencing, chatting, and they're all interacting like they were sitting in the office. I hope you have a wonderful day. Please stay safe. Please stay inside. And Al got one more thing. Oh yes, the recording. We're going to be putting a recording. I'll send that out. We'll send that out as well. It's going to be on vectorchoice.com work from home. And that page is not up yet because I wanted to get this first recording. I will post this recording there. I will post links to the Amazon, where to get the lights. I'll post the camera that I use, and I will also post the Business Innovations PDF there as well. So all that page is going to be permanent for all videos and everything that I talk about on these different webinars.
Some of the ones, I think Friday I might be talking about how do you make sure your information is secure when working from home, when employees are using their personal computers, and how to secure a home network. So there's tons of topics I'm going to be talking about that's going to be very useful as we go over the next 30, 60 days of all of us working from home. God bless. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Take care.